Hello, my name is Leah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to bring you along a little day in my life vlog, mainly because I have been terrible recently at staying on top of my crap, and I feel like I need some accountability. So today you're going to be my accountability and I'm going to get stuff done. I decided that I would do my makeup out here where the lighting is decent for filming. Today is Wednesday. I'm about halfway through Project Fire. I'm in a fine place, but I feel like I've just been having so much trouble sitting down and focusing on my work recently. I don't know if that's just because I'm getting tired of being in this space, or if there's something in the draft that's not holding my attention well. But whatever it is, recently I've just been struggling, focusing and getting a lot of good writing work done. Yesterday, I got about 1,000 words, but I spent so long scrolling on Instagram, it's not even funny. So today I'm gonna put a time limit on my phone. I already have a time limit on it, but I'm in the habit of pressing ignore basically, which doesn't really help. Today we're gonna be for real about it. I also film on my phone, so if I'm filming, I can't be on Instagram. It's 8:30ish right now. I can't really tell. I can't see the clock. My husband just left for work. I also wanted to put on some makeup just to make myself feel like we're ready to go. I usually don't wear makeup during day to day when I'm just here by myself. But yes, back to the book. I'm almost halfway through with Project Fire. I'm at a point where I've skipped around some in the draft as I've been writing it, and what this has done is, now that I'm almost halfway through, I have a bunch of little places where I need to go back and finish the scene, but there's a reason I skipped those in the first place. I had to think through some problems and I didn't want to slow my pace, so I just kind of skipped over those spots. But now that I'm reaching the halfway point, I feel like I need to go back and fill in those gaps so that I have a solid first half leading into the second half. The problem is, because they're places where I need to think through problems a little bit more, my pace is super slow. And then whenever my pace is slow is whenever my brain's oh, just glance at Instagram for a second, just pick up your phone, and that's never a good idea. I'm also at a point where I'm trying to decide if I want to keep pushing forward or if I want to go back and revise what I have so far. So normally my process is just to keep pushing forward. I write till the end of the draft, but the reason I normally do that is to force myself to finish. And I'm at a point now where I've finished enough stuff that I know that I can finish the draft regardless. I'm not gonna get caught in an endless editing loop because I know that no first draft is going to be perfect. But there's some pretty foundational stuff that I haven't done well in this first half, which is okay, but I want those elements to be in there before I send it to any beta readers, because if I send it as is, the end just isn't gonna make sense, period. So the question is, do I keep writing or do I go back to the beginning and do a quick revision of the first half of the book? The reason I would lean towards not doing that is I originally gave myself a end of September deadline for this draft, which basically means I'd have to write the second half of the book all in September. But I don't know. I think that my plan of action should just be to finish the first half first, fill in those gaps, and then decide whether or not to go back after I'm done with that. Because I definitely 100% want to have this draft sent to some beta readers before NaNoWriMo so that I can focus on something else for NaNoWriMo. Anyways, that's what I'm thinking through right now. I'm gonna finish getting ready and then go get some coffee and something to eat. Again, it's about noon now. I have written 458 words this morning, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I have been actually pretty good at staying on task and not getting too distracted. I did have a little moment there where I got on Instagram for slightly too long. But we're okay, we're making progress. Some of that was, again, like I was saying, those places that I've skipped that I was trying to figure out how to connect the pieces. The last 3 chapters are finished now. There's some more spots in the first half of the book that need those like connecting pieces written. I think there's 2 scenes that I basically skipped over. I wrote some little bits but are basically unwritten. But other than that, I've made it to the midpoint, which is very exciting. This midpoint is a big shift in this story. It takes it in a new direction plot-wise and tonally. So that's another thing that I really want to make sure is built up to the right way in the first half, because I don't want this to be something that's like jarring or makes people be like, this isn't the book that I thought I was reading. So that's I think revision issue to work on. Anyways, the other reason why I only have like 400 something words for the morning is because I actually help with some social media stuff and I had to make a few posts and stuff like that in preparation for this week. So that took up a little bit of time, but it was still productive work that I needed to get done. I filmed that clip of me writing my to-do list for the day, but I actually made a different one. So I'm trying to figure out a process in terms of like how I want to organize my days, how I want to keep on top of things. And making that video the other day about the way that I did that in college made me just really miss that method of like using my calendar more. So what I did was, I'll like insert a screenshot or something, but what I did was block out the work day. So instead of being like, okay, this is writing time, this is editing YouTube video time, this is doing Instagram stuff, blah, 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 I just blocked off the whole work day, 9 to 5 basically, and put my to-do list within that time block. So I can go forward in the future and put stuff on specific days that don't necessarily have to be like within this week. And that'll help me, I think, plan in advance more and just be a little bit more flexible with my to-do lists. So we're gonna try that for a few days, see how it works out. I'm hoping it'll work, that would be nice. But anyways, it's a little past 12 now, so it is time to go get some food because my stomach definitely needs something to make it shut up. Okay, I've made a decision. I'm going to start from the beginning and do a quick little revision of the first half for my own sake in writing the second half and for the sake of something I'll talk about in a second. I feel like I really need to make the first part readable in terms of the stuff that needs to be in there actually being in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I need to go in and include the stuff that is vital to setting up the end and also write those scenes that I skipped over. The other thing that I was thinking about that kind of made me decide to do this is I'm gonna try something with this draft. So in Project Shadows, I was revising it with the intent that by the end of draft 2, I was going to send it to beta readers so that I could get feedback to start on draft 3 with their feedback. I didn't quite make it to the end of draft 2 because of that rut that I kind of got stuck in. And Project Shadows is the book that I've gotten the furthest along in like the writing process in. So I've never actually been able to send a book to beta readers before. I'm very familiar with the like critique feedback process just based off of being in film school and stuff. We did that a lot with our scripts, and so I'm very comfortable sharing my work with people. I just don't like sharing incomplete work with people, if that makes sense. A book is such a long thing. The first draft never quite feels complete to me. There's always very obvious issues that I want to fix before I give it to someone else. But again, because it's such a long process, I spend so long writing the book that I'm so close to it, and I never actually get the chance to check in with someone and say, hey, is what I'm doing here even working at all? I need some sort of process that lets me give it to people earlier while still allowing me to do my messy fast zero draft and also clean that draft up. So I'm gonna try something with this book. I think now that I'm halfway through, I've reached the midpoint. After I go through and do my quick little revision of the first half, I might just send the first half to a few people, and then as they're reading it, I can continue working on the second half and drafting it, so that hopefully by the time all of their feedback like trickles in, I will be nearly done with the end, and then I can just send them the rest of the book. And it also sort of helps eliminate the issue of having to wait so long for feedback if I give the whole book to someone at once. I think I'm gonna try it. We'll see how this goes. I mean, first I obviously have to finish the revision. I guess depending on how all that goes out, I will share with you in a later video the whole process. Right now though, what I'm going to do is, because I'm treating this as a revision of the first half, I'm going to reread basically the whole thing that I have so far, and then I'm going to make a card for each chapter. That way, as I go, I can list all the stuff that needs to happen in each chapter. Most of that will be like an as I go thing, so I see an issue in chapter 3, I'll write on the chapter 3 card, fix this issue. But then there's also the whole issue of not setting things up correctly. So like, say in chapter 13, I have something happen that wasn't set up properly. That way I can go back to like the chapter 4 card and say, remember to add this thing that sets up the thing in chapter 13. Hello, this is Leah from The Next Day, because I'm terrible at filming outros for vlogs on the days that I'm vlogging them. I did end up starting reading through Project Fire, the draft, and making some notes. I got through the first few chapters yesterday, but then I had a little bit of a crisis. It wasn't that I thought the writing was bad or anything, it was just that I am realizing that there's some stuff in Act 1 that just isn't landing the way it's supposed to. So it's not only that I need to add in those setups that I said were missing, but it's also just that I need to rework Act 1 pretty much completely, I think. My story feels like it's divided into 3 separate moments, I guess, or places. Like Act 1 is all before the tournament. The beginning of Act 2 is like the fun and games part of the tournament, and then after the midpoint, it's like still in the tournament, but that midpoint shift that I was talking about that makes a pretty drastic change. It makes the second half feel too different, I think, from the first half. And part of the reason for that, I think, is because of Act 1. So I need to do some reworking there, but yesterday I was not in the right headspace to do that, even though I thought I was. So I was being a bit manic. I like walked around my apartment trying to like find different places to write, because sometimes mixing up like how you're writing or the place that you're writing can help break through something like that. It absolutely did not help. At one point I was literally laying on the carpet floor like typing, and it was a mess. Anyways, I just decided that I was done with that for the day, so I pushed Project Fire to the side, and then my brain was just like, but I still want to work on something. So I pulled up Project Shadows again and started working on that revision, just kind of picking up where I left off. And it made me feel so much better working on that, honestly. Number one, because it was something that I wasn't frustrated with, and I was frustrated with Project Fire. Number two, because it was better at the end than I remember it being. And then it felt good to know that setting it to the side was the right move, because I don't feel tired of these characters and I don't feel tired of the story anymore. I still want to tell it for sure. I think that that lesson can carry over into Project Fire as well. So my new game plan is still what I told you before. I'm still going to go back and revise the first half of Project Fire, but before I do that, I'm going to set it to the side for just a moment and try to finish the Project Shadows revisions. So we're switching projects again. Yay, great. I am a very focused person. I like to be working on one thing at a time and chipping away at that thing, but oh my gosh, they're leaf blowing now. Great. All right, I'm gonna make this quick. I like to be focusing on one thing, which is why I don't like switching between projects or working on multiple projects at a time. I think that that's something that I need to do more of and get better of balancing, because it helps me put something aside when I'm tired of it. It helps me rest my brain from thinking about one particular story. And I think that it will help me feel more productive too, because I'll be hitting those milestones on the 2 different projects more frequently. I won't feel like I've wasted the past 2 months writing nothing. Even though the past 2 months have definitely been productive writing Project Fire, it's just that because it's not finished, it still feels incomplete to me. So then it's like, okay, what were the past 2 months for? But that's not the mindset we need to be in. We need to be in each day's progress is a complete amount of work. So anyways, that was what a typical writing day in my life it looks like. It's just writing, basically, and that was just what I happened to be working on yesterday. I'm gonna end this now before this leaf blower gets any closer to my window. Let me know down below what you are working on right now. How's it going for you? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!